I thank the gentlelady for yielding. Mr. Mukasey, I want to read a statement to you from January of 2017 and get your response to it. It says, well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about it. What's our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired? First of all, Mr. Mukasey, you happen to know who wrote that?
The name escapes me at the moment, but it was a senior FBI official.
Yeah, right. Director of FBI's Counterintelligence Division, Mr. Priestep, wrote that. Wrote this just prior to the interview of General Flynn. And what I want to know is that the kind of motivation that typically exists with investigators? Is their goal to get someone fired, to prosecute them? I thought the goal was to get to the truth.
That is supposed to be the goal.
And do you have concerns about that? I mean, Mr. Ayers just said it was nonsense to be concerned about things like this. He said, I think the term he used was we were spewing out things that were nonsense. This doesn't seem to me to be nonsense to be concerned about a senior official at the Justice Department, an important player in the investigation that was going on at the time that Peter Strzok was leading. Doesn't seem to me to be nonsense.
You're asking me whether I agree?
I'm asking you to comment. Go right ahead.
Okay. If that wasn't, the point is that wasn't an isolated example. It was one example among many, and that phenomenon of it being one among many, it's the many part that I think is a real concern. Yeah, the many part, couple that with the statements we just talked about a few minutes ago that I asked you about, that the two people in the FBI working under Mr. Priestep, one of them under Mr. Priestep, one of them for Mr. McCabe, the statements they had relative to the investigation, two important investigations. So it's the combination of all that. How about this fact? How about the fact that 38 people unmasked Michael Flynn's name 49 times? Just the volume and the number of different people. Does that concern you, Mr. Mukasey? Well, people who unmask are supposed to state the reasons, and I don't know what reasons they stated, but the sheer number would be of some interest.
In your time in working in government, did you ever see anything like that in your experience?
I did not. I was actually, truthfully, not involved in unmasking decisions or discussions, so I can't say whether and to what extent it happened. But it's supposed to happen only when it's necessary. Your first
impression as a former Attorney General of the United States, you see 49 different times, 38 people in a short time span. You get 6 people at Treasury, for goodness sake. Well, 6 people at the Treasury Department unmasking Michael Flynn's name. Not just Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Biden, not just those individuals.
I want to know more about what the nature of their interest is and why it was necessary to disclose the identity of a U.S. citizen.
I do too. I do too. Mr. Elias, have you ever disclosed internal Department of Justice documents, including documents that might be privileged or confidential to anyone outside of the department?
I don't believe I have done that. I did produce my Inspector General complaint to this committee in response to its subpoena to appear here today. But that was a document that was my own words and not...
Why the hesitation? I mean, it's fine if you got the complaint relative to a so-called whistleblower, but is there hesitation because there's other documents you've disclosed?
I'm hesitating only because I want to be absolutely sure that I'm being truthful, and I cannot...
Did you give any documents to United States senators, Democrat senators?
I am fairly confident that I have not done that other than my whistleblower complaint. I don't believe that I've given I don't believe I've given internal documents to...
Have you ever worked at the White House?
I was on detail as a career Justice Department attorney to the White House.
What years? What time frame?
It was 2015, the first half of 2015.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman,
I have a unanimous consent. I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Correa.
Could I do a unanimous consent?
The gentleman will state his unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a letter from the Justice Department to Senator Whitehouse from Assistant Attorney General Boyd, dated June 19th, 2020.
That objection.
Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.